Do you want to go on an adventure? I hope so, because we're at DuPont State Forest today, and we're going to hike to about 4 different awesome waterfalls. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for coming. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Kat, and come join us. DuPont State Forest is located on the borders of Henderson and Transylvania County in western North Carolina. It's about a 20-minute drive from both Hendersonville and Brevard. DuPont State Forest is a 13,000-acre swath of state-owned land named after the DuPont Corporation, which previously owned and operated an imaging manufacturing plant on the property. For years, the plant was a major economic draw as it employed over 1,500 people and provided steady income and high-paying jobs. Toward the late 1990s, when many of the manufacturing jobs went overseas, the plant changed hands many times before ultimately closing its doors for good in the early 2000s. This left a large amount of the locals unemployed, unfortunately. The surrounding land was contested for years between developers and those who would wish to keep the area preserved and open to the public. The preservationists ultimately won the battle, and DuPont State Forest was established. The actual site of the plant is still closed off to the public today, resulting in what is known as the donut hole, but the rest of the surrounding area is still easily accessible. DuPont welcomes hikers, bikers, pets, equestrians, and kayakers. However, you cannot camp in the park or build fires. The forest boasts at least 6 stunning and easily accessible waterfalls, many of them made famous by movies such as The Hunger Games and The Last of the Mohicans. There are also several lakes and mountain biking and hiking trails to enjoy as well. We're chasing waterfalls today, and we're going to take you to 4 of these beautiful waterfalls in DuPont. Starting off with the easiest. We're heading to Hooker Falls. No pun intended. Seriously, that's its name, and it's the easiest. No, this waterfall is not named after the ladies of the night, but it is named after the Hooker Moor Cemetery located nearby. To access the Hooker Falls Trail, it's best to park in the additional parking lot of the Hooker Falls access area located just off of Staten Road. This is where you can access both the Hooker Falls Trail and the Triple Falls Trail. The parking lot is well lit at night, and there are water fountains and restroom facilities here. The hike to the falls takes about 10 minutes. The trail is out and back, less than a mile long, and it meanders through beautiful scenery, past the cemetery, and down the backside of the slope to the picturesque 14-foot waterfall. While these waterfalls are beautiful, they can be deadly. There's a reason behind TLC's greatest hit, Waterfalls. While 14 feet may not sound like a very high waterfall, please be safe and heed all of the warning signs that are posted in the area. You should never climb on, jump off of, or swim near a waterfall. Every year, there are multiple injuries and deaths that occur at these waterfalls because visitors are either unaware of the dangers or ignore the safety warnings. If you plan on visiting these waterfalls, please do not put yourself in harm's way so that your day of exploration and fun doesn't turn into a day of regret and tragedy. After you get back to the parking lot, you only need to head across the parking lot to find the Triple Falls trailhead. Now we're headed across the Bill Yarborough Bridge to Triple Falls. This trail is actually a 2.9-mile loop with 440 feet of elevation gain that will also take you to the High Falls waterfall as well. But you might find it easier to just take this trail on the 10-minute hike to Triple Falls than back to your car and drive up to High Falls access area and visitor center to get to High Falls. This trail takes you under Staten Road and it's relatively flat and easily accessible until right before you reach Triple Falls, where the trail becomes very steep. It's a cardiovascular workout for sure, but the views from about 3/4 of the way up the mountain are totally worth it. This is the money shot of Triple Falls. Triple Falls is a 125-foot, 3-tiered cascade waterfall carved out by the Little River. Each of the tiers of Triple Falls has its own distinct type of cascade. You may also recognize portions of the Triple Falls from the Searching for Peeta scene in The Hunger Games. It was also featured in the Last of the Mohicans motion picture film too. There are steps down to the slope of the riverbank where you can access the base of the middle tier, but it's highly recommended that you do not cross the cordoned off area. And now we're headed to High Falls. Because we were lazy and we didn't want to hike the entire loop, we turned around and headed back the way we came, got in the car, and drove up to the High Falls access area. There's a large parking lot here, restrooms, and a visitor center. The visitor center was closed by the time we got here, but I'm sure it's great. From here you can access the upper portion of the Triple Falls Loop, as well as the High Falls Trail and the covered bridge, which spans the river above High Falls. The trail down to High Falls is a quick 15-minute hike. It's mostly flat. You can get to a clearing on the trail for your money shot of the falls, with the covered bridge looming in the background. You can walk down the steep hill, round the trail to the right, and walk all the way up to the base of the falls. The speed at which the water tumbles over the rocks and roosts your tails upward, it's really hard not to get absolutely blasted by the powerful mist when you're standing near these falls. From here, we headed back up the hill the way that we came and hung a left toward the signs pointing toward the covered bridge. The covered bridge was built by the developer Jim Anthony during the dispute over what would happen to DuPont's land after the plant shut down. Mr. Anthony had planned to develop the land into a private gated residential community and had already built a bridge and sectioned off several plots of land before the state wrestled the land away from him. The bridge remains to this day and stands as a reminder of just how close this beautiful place was to being kept away from public access. This is also the way to our last waterfall, Bridal Veil Falls. Bridal Veil Falls can be accessed via 2 different routes, this way and via the Corn Mill Shoals access area. This waterfall takes the longest to get to, as it's on the opposite side of that pesky donut hole that we discussed earlier. Just take a right after the covered bridge and stay on Conservation Road until you reach Bridal Veil Falls Road. This trail is actually a loop and it takes about 45 minutes to reach the falls, and it takes about 2 hours to complete the full loop on foot. As I said before, DuPont State Forest does allow bicycles and horses on many of the trails, and either of those would be very helpful if you took the Corn Mill Shoals route or this route. But since we're already here, we're going to take this route. This is actually less of a trail, so to speak, and more of a gravel road, but there isn't any traffic except for Forest Service vehicles, bicyclists, and horseback riders passing by. On the way there, you'll pass by the Three Lakes Trailhead and the beautiful Lake Julia. You'll pass by an old barn once you turn off on the Bridal Veil Falls Road, and the falls aren't too much further. You'll be able to hear the falls through the trees before you're spat out of the woods and onto the riverbank at the base of the falls. Bridal Veil Falls is a 120-foot shallow sloping cascade waterfall. Don't be fooled by its gentle appearances though. These waters are dangerous and fast, and these rocks are very slippery. There's also evidence of violently carved whirlpool markings in the stone of the falls, reminiscent of moon craters. So even if the water looks gentle when you visit, beware. Is it cold?
Yeah, but it feels so good.
It's really slippery.
That right there is why. Mud?
Yeah, moss. That's what makes it dangerous. But enjoy. Sit down, have a snack, have a picnic. It took a lot to get here. Also enjoy the beauty and the wonder that nature has given us. Thank you for coming along on my adventure with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that little bell icon for notifications for when I post new videos. Thank you so much for watching. Now we're headed across the Bill. Is it Bill Yarborough? And now we're heading to Hooker Falls. No prostitutes though. And now we're heading to Hooker Falls. It's right across the road from Prostitute Pond.